Hi everyone, today we are working on 6.5 day 1, which is solving with common bases. Your essential question says, how can you solve exponential equations using common bases? When we're talking about bases, we're talking about like the big number. So if I have 2 squared, that's 4. Or if I have 9, I can rewrite that as 3 squared. Or if I had like 1 over 36, that would be the same as 1 over 6 squared. And remember, if you want to move your exponent to the top, you make it negative. So we'd have 6 to the power of negative 2. That would be the same as 1 over 36. We talked about this idea way before this whole shutdown thing, so it should be a little familiar, but we're going to go ahead and do a couple examples to jog your memory. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about are the steps we're going to use to solve today. Again, we're solving exponentials with common bases. The first step is to rewrite each side with a common base. The second step is to set the exponents equal to each other, so whatever your like little numbers or little equations are. And then the third step is to solve for x. I would go ahead and write this down, and it should help you solve all of the problems you see today. All right, for our first problem, we have 1 over 1,000 equals 10 to the power of 6x. Now I notice here that kind of my base numbers are 10 and 1 over 1,000. Now I don't really want to work with fractions. You're going to want to change each of your fractions into a whole number, and in order to do that, you are going to change your exponent. Right now there's a positive 1. Oh, let's use the actual pen and not my highlighter. Down there with 1,000. And remember, to move that to the top, I make my exponent negative. So I really have 1,000 to the power of negative 1 equals 10 to the power of 6x. Now I want those base numbers to match. Right now we have 1,000 as a base and we have 10 as a base. So I want to figure out how can I rewrite one so it's in terms of the other. This one's a nice example because we have 10 as a base. I don't know any numbers that I can raise to a power and get 10. I know that like 3 squared equals 9, but I don't know a number here that I can raise to a power to get 10. In fact, I don't think there's a nice one that exists. There isn't. I'm telling you, there isn't. So I'm going to rewrite 1,000 in terms of 10. So I want to figure out 1,000. This guy equals 10 to the power of what? So we're going to do 10 to the power of, and then if you don't know it, you can type it into your calculator. Try 10 to the power of 2. Try 10 to the power of 3, and you should get 1,000. When you're typing that into your calculator, I would do like 10, and then the little arrow, and then whatever number I want. So 3 in this case. So we have 10 to the power of 3 equals 10 to the power of 6x. Don't forget that this originally had a negative 1, so I want to put this whole thing in parentheses and put a negative 1 there. Now I don't really want two exponents, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply these together to get 10 to the power of negative 3 equals 10 to the power of 6x. Now at this point we have our bases that match, so we can just set our exponents equal to each other. So we're going to do negative 3 equals 6x. From here we're just solving for x like we've done all year, so I want to get rid of that 6 in front of x. In order to do that, we're going to divide both sides by 6, and I get x equals negative 3 over 6. And if I put that in my calculator, I get negative 0.5. Negative 0.5 as my final answer. Again, make your bases match, then set your exponents equal and solve for x. All right, my next problem, we have 1/2 to the power of x plus 7 equals 4. Now right off the bat, I see that 4, and I know I can rewrite it in terms of 2. I know this is the same as 2 squared, that gives me 4, and then you have that 3x on the outside. And I see 1 over 2. Remember, to move my 2 to the top, this has a positive 1 by it. I need a negative 1. So I have 2 to the power of negative 1, and then we have x plus 7. I need to simplify my exponents. For the first one, that means I'm going to distribute negative 1, so I'm going to do negative 1 times x. So I have 2 to the power of negative x, and negative 1 times 7, minus 7, equals, and these two we just have to multiply. Again, I'm not distributing it because there's no plus sign in between the 3 and the x. 3 and the x go together. So we have 2 to the power of 6x. At this point, my bases match. They're both 2. So we can set these things equal to each other. So I have negative x minus 7 equals 6x. I want to move all my x's to one side. We're trying to get x by itself, so I'm going to do plus x. I get negative 7 equals 7x. I'm going to rewrite that up here just because I'm out of space. And now I want to get rid of that 7 in front of my x. So I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 7. This is a negative. When I do that, I get x equals negative 1. And that's my final answer. All right, for our final example, we have 25 to the power of 3x equals 125 to the power of x plus 2. I notice my first base is 25, so I want to see if 25 to the power of something gives me 125. Well, I can do 25 squared, and that gives me 625, so it's already too big. So I can't write these both in terms of 25, so this is not going to work. But what I notice is I can rewrite both of these in terms of 5. I know that if I do 5 squared, I get 25, so I could have 5 squared equals 3x, which equals, and then if I do 5 to the power of 3, I get 125, so I have 5 to the power of 3 times x plus 2. Now we're going to simplify our exponents, so we're going to do 2 times 3x, so we have 5 to the power of 6x equals, and then we have to distribute this 3. 3 times x gives me 5 to the power of 3x, and 3 times 2 gives me 6. Again, at this point, my bases match, so we only care about the exponents, and I have 6x equals 3x plus 6. From here, we're solving for x, so I want to move all my x's to the left side. So we're going to do minus 3x minus 3x. I get 3x equals 6. Again, I'm just going to move that up here so I have some room. I need to get rid of that 3 in front, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 2. All right, and that is your final answer. Again, as you're working today, check out those 3 steps. They'll help you solve your problems. If you get stuck, if you need help, please reach out to your teacher. Email us. We will gladly help you. All right, thank you for watching, and good luck on your homework.